That was a close one. Holy, that thing almost never started. But once she started, she runs strong. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're working on the 240. It has been a long time since I turned this thing on. I have totally forgotten how the headlights look. I think the last thing I did on the 240 was the taillights, so it's so good seeing them again. Something's smelling a little bit smoky, and I think I'm seeing some smoke coming out of the front. Oh yeah, there it is. Uh-oh. Let's shut her down and see what that is. I love that. What could it be? Something like lit on fire in there. Something is like genuinely on fire in there. Can you guys see that? My plan was to do like a pretty cool edit of me pulling up to the garage, pulling it in, but now that the car's on fire, I'm kind of having a little bit of change of heart here. I'm really hoping that some leaves got into the hood vent, fell onto the turbo, and then that's what the issue is. But I really don't know. Just gonna have to get this thing out, pull the 240 in, and then go from there. Every time I work on this thing, it sucks. Has not failed me yet. When I was building this car, I never had an idea of what I wanted it to be. I kind of just started buying parts, and like whatever became available first, that's what I went with. I kind of tried to go the cheap option because I didn't have a whole lot of money to be thrown at this thing. This thing was just a shell. It was a beat shell. And then over the time, I started buying parts. I just wanted to get it on the road. So I bought like a stock motor, and that's all I was gonna do. I was just gonna put a few new gaskets in it, and I was just gonna call that it. But then I kind of got the idea of doing stuff because I was hanging around Robbie when he was doing Jasmine 1.0. And so I was getting heavily influenced by like the eBay spec turbo kit. I really wanted that. So I got some parts for that. Everything was going really fast at the time. I just kept buying parts and body kit and just a whole bunch of other stuff. But I had no true direction I wanted to go. And up until a few weeks ago, I had no idea what my plans were with this car. It was just kind of like a show car. That's how I explained it to people. That's not a good direction to go. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the way it looks. I really like it. I'm happy with where it is. But ever since I went to Ontario and did drifting with Robbie, I knew that that's what this car deserves. It shouldn't be kept in here. This thing is not super clean. It has a lot of flaws in the body, so it's not like taking a mint condition 240 and throwing it into a wall. As much as it hurts to say, this thing needs to see a wall at some point in its life. It needs to die happy. But now we're onto this, and I want to take my time, and I want to get this thing ready for drifting. It's kind of almost there, but I just have a few things that I need to do to make this thing run right. So yeah, this thing doesn't need a whole lot, but it does need a few key components. And if you guys remember me complaining, the gauges. The gauges are bad news. The water temp gauge has never worked. I tried replacing it, did nothing. I tried redoing the wiring, did nothing. So I bucked up and I went with the stuff that Robbie uses in all his cars because it's tried and true, it works. I've seen it work firsthand. I just know that I need something to work because I don't know if this thing's running hot, cold, what it's doing. Next we got the ADD W1 carbon oil catch can. So this is something that we're gonna install. And then we got this thing. So this thing is super easy and basic, but my tuner said I need it, but I just bought it and now's the perfect time to install it. So this thing is the Vibrant Performance manual boost controller. This thing will allow to turn up or down the boost at the dyno, just so he can get it running the way he wants. So yeah, those are like the three things I plan on doing. Still don't have a hood prop, so the old broom handle is gonna have to work with us today. This thing works like a charm. So you guys saw that there was some sort of fire going on in here. I think it's leaves and just, I don't even know. It looks like there's foam in there. I don't know what that is. But I can kind of tell the ashes where everything was catching on fire. So we'll get that blown out. But my engine bay is filthy. And it's not just dirty, it's just gross. Another big thing I wish is that I took more time in the engine bay. When I originally got the car, I was just slapping it together and I wasn't filming at the time. And now I'm paying for it because I hate the way it looks. Like, it looks cool, like I have the painted valve cover and I got a big turbo, but look at that side of the housing. That is disgusting. And even just like the front of the engine, it's gross. I wish I painted the engine bay. I wish I took time running wires. I almost feel like I should be pulling the motor and just cleaning that up because now's the perfect time. It's the off season, but I don't really know. I'm kind of scared to do that. So how about this? If this video gets 250 likes, I highly doubt it will, but if this video gets 250 likes, we're gonna pull the engine and I'm gonna make this a very nice engine bay. The reason I picked such a high number is because I don't think we're gonna get 250 likes and it's not something super high on my to-do list. But if it happens, and I'm gonna stick with my word. I tried dusting it all out and it did not make much of a difference. So I think I'm gonna need to do a big super clean on this. But while we're in here, I say we do this guy. So like I said, this thing is extremely easy. There's an in and an out. That's all there is to this thing, really. So it's quite hard to see in here, but you got the line that goes from the turbo. You can kind of see it goes right there, and then it goes right into the wastegate. You can't really tell. But all we gotta do is tee it into this line, or maybe even mount it back on the firewall. So let's disconnect this hose. It was super hard to kind of have the camera here and my hands in there to drill it, but that's how that thing sits. All right, that guy's fully attached. This guy's fully attached. He's running down to the wastegate. You can kind of tell right off the top of the wastegate, right down there. So, like I said, that was super easy. Now we get a little bit more technical. We got to wire in this guy. So, I really hope this thing works. The reason I think this one will work is because the sensor itself has a ground. That one down there, it doesn't have a ground. It just has a signal wire. That's the way that it comes from the box. That's the way that the wiring instructions tell me to do it. But every single thing I was reading online, they say you need a ground for the sensor. So, this one comes with it. It's a little bit more money for this brand, but like I said, I trust it. Okay, so like I said, this is the Glow Shift Black 7 color series. I really hope this is what I need, because honestly, this will be the third, maybe fourth attempt of me trying to get a gauge to work. This one already looks way better. Like, that just looks nice. It's got a nice bezel, and then it's got the little wiring harness. So this is what I need. And then here's the sensor. One of them's a ground, so that's perfect. That's what the last gauge was missing. So this guy will replace the one that's down just like that. That's the sensor. That's the one giving us all the problems. And basically, right at the threaded portion at the top, you screw an eyelet and then that wire goes right to the gauge. With this one, you have your sensor and then one gets grounded and then the other one goes back to the gauge. So hopefully this is gonna solve it. That thing's now in there, nice and tight. The wires are just chilling like that. Now we gotta get the gauge in the car with this attached, and then we gotta start running the wiring. Right over here, this is the original wire that I used. So what I'm gonna do with this, because this wire goes all the way through the firewall into the car, up into this array of wiring. So if I can reuse it, that saves like 5, 6, 7 feet maybe of wiring. So after reading the schematics a little bit, the green wire in this harness is what goes to the white on the sensor. And then the black goes to a ground. And then the rest of the wiring is just to make sure this thing has lights. Some of the wiring we won't use because some of this stuff just doesn't work. So I think one of the colors, maybe orange, goes to this guy and you can control the brightness. That's not something that we're really gonna care about too much. The wire that's inside this loom is gray. So we gotta go inside here, look at the water temp gauge. That's oil, water temp, and find the gray wire. And me, being the smart guy I am, there's 2 gray wires. So I just gotta look at this and see which one goes to the sensor. I wrote an S, if you guys can see that, on that one gray wire. So that means that this wire right there is one that we got attached to the new green harness. So now that that's disconnected, the red, I always use red for power. So that one's gonna be a power, and then the gray will be a ground. So, just like that, got the 2 wires connected. Now I just need to do the same thing with these 2. Alright, that stuff's all connected down there. Got the positive and the negative. The negative does need to be cleaned up, but I just got it tied in right there. So now back to the instructions. So we gotta add, the orange is the headlight switch. So that'll be the dimmer one. I don't really care for that. And then there's also a yellow and a red. One of them I might be able to eliminate just because I already have it on a switch. So we're gonna attach it to the red and see if that's the one we want. If it's not, then we'll go to the yellow. All right, I got the ground connected, and as you guys can see, I kinda just lightly connected that. That's definitely not how I'm gonna leave it, but I'm gonna attach the gauge, and then I'm just gonna leave this yellow there, and if this works, then we'll just cut the yellow, but if it doesn't work, we'll try the yellow and then cut the red. I really hate filming wiring because I understand it, but I don't know how to explain how I understand it. It's super weird. Like, I'm pretty good with wiring. I've done a lot of the wiring in this, and I can always figure out how to make things work. It may not look the cleanest, and that's what I'm really trying to work on, but this thing is just a total mess. So if I kind of clean up a few things, then it's really gonna highlight the stuff that's awful. So I'm trying to do a decent job with this, but not too good, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so we'll grab this, and then we'll just leave it right there for now. We'll connect the battery. And then if we hit the switch, that gauge turns on. There we go, okay. Then turn it off. On. These gauges are so sick. Off, on, just turns a light. That one just does numbers. But this one, it has like a little display. It does the thing, the Subarus I think do it where they go woo, woo. Might cut that out. Okay, but yeah, so now we gotta attach that and then we're gonna heat shrink everything. Then we can start putting the gauges back into the pillar pod. All right, that's all 3 gauges. Oil pressure, air fuel, water temp. That's all of them. That's perfect. Oh my God, dude, that one's so cool. Let's peel off that little film. Oh my God, dude, that is such a nice gauge. I just want to clarify, I wasn't sponsored by GlowShift. I wasn't told to say anything. I just genuinely really like that. I like their gauges, but I just think that looks so sick. I miss having the gauges up here. Camera doesn't really pick it up too well. It doesn't pick up, there it is. So there, that's what I'm seeing right now. So there, got that done. That took a little bit longer than I thought, just running all the wire and then doing a little bit of rewiring on the pre-existing gauges just because I just wanted to clean it up because I was in there and I don't want to have to take it back off. Now, our final thing that we're gonna be doing inside this engine bay is super simple. I basically did all the prep work a while back, but as you can see, there's this one hose and it just goes under there. That goes to my PCV. So this one goes from the valve cover. All we gotta do is attach these 2 hoses and they're right here already. So this one's the ADDW1. This is the ones that Robbie runs on everything. Like I said, he gave me this one because he wasn't using it. It's just a nice colorway. It's the blue. It kind of matches the car, I guess. And the nice thing about this is you can change the colors. So I could do a red one and I could do a green one. All the colors are nice. I actually might change in for the red just because it does match that a little bit better. And then there's just some miscellaneous hose clamps and stuff. So we do gotta try and find a way to mount this thing. And I guess this is how you change the color band. Oh yeah, nice and oily in there. So I'm just gonna do a quick temporary mount just because I'm running out of time. But I'm just gonna use this hole right there, fire the screw right through the hose clamp, and then we'll just tighten the hose clamp down. That should be plenty just for now. I should be picking up a welder in a month or 2, so I can make like an actual bracket. That's what I genuinely want to make. We're actually do a little bit of metal fabrication to make a holder for that and a new coolant reservoir. But there's no point spending a whole bunch of time trying to make something now when I plan on replacing it in a little bit. Alright, well, like I said guys, I told you that was gonna be super easy. All I had to do is screw on 1 clamp and then put on 2 hoses. That's basically all the stuff I had laying around for this car. Like I have a few small minor things, but I don't really need to put them on. So we did the catch can, we did the boost controller, and we did the water temp gauge. Let's test that. I just wanted to get the catch can done before I started the car and tested it, just because I didn't want the engine bay to get all hot. But now that we're done in there, we can get it fired up and not have to worry about going in the engine bay. God, it is so rainy out today. The car looks so good like this. I don't know why. Let's get the gauges turned on and fuel turned on. So if you guys remember, the main reason why I wanted the water temp gauge is because the car says it's overheating. Like, once it turns up, this gauge will show overheating, that one. But since I never had a properly working water temp gauge, I didn't really actually know. I was just going off with what the 30-year-old gauge said. So we're gonna let it warm up and see if that changes at all. So after about 5 minutes of idling, that thing is almost getting to the verge of overheating. Once it kind of goes past half, then you know it's gone too far. And this thing is still just sitting right at the bottom. So I'm just gonna shut her off. That is so frustrating. This is like the 4th time I've done this now. And I even bought a new gauge, and that gauge wasn't cheap. I paid like $200 and something for it, and I have no idea why. So I need you guys' help. I'm gonna end the video here because I'm frustrated. I can't think of what else it could be. I've already changed the sensor, I've changed the wiring, I've rewired it, I've bled the coolant so many times, I bought a new gauge and still haven't been able to figure out the problem. So I want you guys to leave me some comments down below and let me know what you think the problem might be, because I'm getting really sick and tired of troubleshooting this thing, and I want to hear you guys' input. During the winter, I'm probably not going to work on this thing a whole lot. Unless I do and you guys hit the like button and it gets up to our goal, and I'm gonna do a full overhaul on this thing. But this winter, I think I'm mainly gonna be focusing on the Jeep. I wanna get a lot of snow camping done because it's already starting to get to that season. It hasn't quite snowed here yet, but it's definitely raining. It's definitely getting to the temperatures that we need to see snow, but all of the mountains are getting there. So I wanna do a lot of off-roading and Jeep things this winter. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you come back to the next one every Friday at 12:30 Pacific. So make sure you guys got the bell notification on and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a good time working on the 240 and I hope that transferred over to you guys. So I will see you later.